Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Hello and welcome to this Monday Postcast. I'm Maddie Plell. Full studio today. It's always good to have that with Nick Watts and Dave Orton and Paul Binfield as well from Paddy Power. An action-packed weekend it was. Let's start off then with the Tolworth Novices Hurdle, won by Elixir de Nuts. Dave, he hasn't done a lot wrong in his career so far.
No, I like him actually. This is the sort of horse that I historically do not like. The one that gets out early has been beaten. Well, I just think I'm usually looking for something from Ireland that's coming over first and foremost for the Supreme, which is never a bad way to go. Something that's got a bit more of a dark profile. He's shown his hand a bit more, hasn't he? But listen, this is a horse that when they went 14-1 straight after the race, I thought it was a bit of an insult to him actually. We gave him a Racing Post rating for that of 141. That's £1 below Somerville Boy, who went, of course, on to win the Supreme afterwards. The Tolworth has had a massive boost, hasn't it? If you think about it, in the last couple of years, it's fantastic. Yeah,
really, really good race. What's he? Will he be on your Supreme radar?
Yeah, he definitely would. I liked him on Saturday. I thought maybe Rathhill was the wrong favourite, to be honest. And
what happened to him? Because he, there was
horrendous price. I mean, in hindsight,
he was very highly regarded, though. The quotes were quite.
He should have been 8-1 shot, though, shouldn't he? I think.
If you look at the Elixir and the Nuts form, he'd beaten Jarvis Plate, giving it £10 in his previous run. Jarvis Plate had shown that to be really good form with his easy win at Cheltenham on New Year's Day.
The race before's working out really well as well.
It's all worked out. It's
Tizard. He won the race, of course, with Finian's Oscar, who might well have gone on to give the hat-trick in the race that we wanted. Of course, Yorkhill won it in 2016 before he went on to win the Ballymore. So it's a serious race, just because it's the first week of January on sloppy ground. They look tired up that hill. They're serious animals, and I just love him. I think he'll get out of the way. The Supreme can be won by the front as well. Think about Mullins and Ruby doing it.
Well, so many times this season it's paid to be out in front, isn't it? A way out of the trouble.
And it is a division that has yet to really light up. I think we can say that. Mullins hasn't really got anything yet, as the Animix got beaten, of course, over Christmas, and that was supposed to be the buzzer.
I'm sure something will come out of the woodwork. Binners, great to see you yesterday after Plumpton. You had gate crashed my nice little family meal in the pub afterwards, but definitely not complaining. Elixir de Nuts, is he still the 14s that Dave mentioned?
No, we were 14s immediately after the race, Maddie. Now 12-1. It was great to meet your parents. Sadly, both huge Leicester City fans and Newport County spoiled your party even more than me turning up.
Oh, it was absolutely terrible. Don't know how that happened. Anyway, less of that. We'll move on then. Also on the card was the Veterans Chase. Oublon des Obeaux beating Bywise, who came down sickening fall at the last. What do you want, Dave?
I think Bywise was coming to win the race. I analysed the race for the paper. I said you'd be hard pressed to think that Oublon wouldn't have won, because he still had quite a lot in the end at the finish. But that's because nothing was pressing him. I think he destroyed the race, didn't he, Oublon? And Charlie Deutsch, what a ride that was! A very brave ride. They went hell for leather in that race.
Great form, that combination, aren't they?
Yes, Bywise. It was a horrible fall, and Evans come out his trainer since said, "Would he come back from that?" It was a potential career-ending one. I think the form looks pretty good, but it's these old horses. It's just a case of getting them right on the day. You sort of almost got to forget about what they've done previously this season. Theatre Guide in second was another one. On Tour in third. He sprang back to life as well. A few eye catches in the race.
Yeah, there was for sure. We love these veterans races. It was great to see, wasn't it? Shame about Bywise.
It was a real pity, yeah. He was running a fantastic race. I wouldn't have liked to have called it, to be honest. He was finishing fast. And we saw what he did in the race last season. I think these veterans races are great. They're always well contested. They're a real puzzle. I don't think it matters if you've got a few pounds in hand or they drop in the ratings or whatever. It depends a lot of the time with these old boys what side of the bed they wake up on. And Oublon was on a real going day, and he was fantastic. And it probably won't happen, but I think one of these at the Cheltenham Festival instead of the mares races like we have would just be so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, there's a strong case, really would, because these are horses that are not. Okay, we had Pete the Feet in there as a 15-year-old, but even he'd shown this season that he could still run.
And they can't compete with the young guns.
Are still capable of nicking a big price, aren't they? Yeah. She's in fantastic form as well, Venetia, isn't she?
Yeah, ASO winning Ryanair candidate now and horses like that.
Yeah, last show that I did with Tom Segal, he said, "Why's she gone out of fashion?" I seem to remember on one of these postcasts. Well, she's right back in it now, basically.
She definitely is. Binners, Oublon des Obeaux, the winner, obviously not likely to be priced up for any targets anytime soon, but he's been a really classy horse, and these events must be popular betting heats for a lot of the public.
Yeah, popular betting heaps, all right, Maddie. And Houblon Desobo was very popular. He was double-figure price in the morning, went off 7-1. Huge gamble on him. I personally was very disappointed to see Bywise fall at the last. I'll never forget him finishing second in the Paddy Power Gold Cup in 2015. But a great race. Speculation afterwards from some of the press was Peter Feet might be retired. I don't know whether that's true or not, but he's been a grand servant, always runs brilliantly at Sandown, and whether he runs again or not, what a lovely horse he is.
Indeed, yeah. I think the latest was that Charlie Longston said, well, they're not going to retire him yet. They'd like to find him another race that he could maybe win and bow out on, but they're not sure if he'll reach sort of the same race next year. But thoughts with them, and hopefully he can record a win because he's a wonderful, wonderful horse. Elsewhere on the card on Saturday, Torpedo won again emphatically. The Triumph Hurdle, it's a bit similar to the Supreme, Dave, as you sort of said. There's yet to be a real star. Is he flattered in winning these races or not?
He's just going out there and doing it. Tristan Davies can train these sorts as well. He said he reminds him of Bristol Demai, the way that he goes out. Doesn't show a great deal at home, and they've put a hood on him because he can be buzzy. Even he struggled to jump out of that ground on Saturday. We should say that most of his rivals just could, ex-flat horses just could not handle it. I think he's as good as anything that's been seen so far. I think we could sort of say that. The finale at Chepstow over Christmas was okay.
Yeah, well, they actually, interestingly, they thought Ajali was the better horse of these two. And sort of the quotes after his previous win were very much, oh, well, we think Ajali's better, and that was really surprising. So you're still sort of thinking, well, if the connections don't rate him that highly, then...
Yeah, we're desperate for something to come out of the woodwork, aren't we? Lishing Castle, was it, at Wetherby?
Yeah.
I thought he won with a lot in hand. I think that could be a really good buy for 50 grand out the John Quinstone. He's gone to Henderson.
Yeah.
He was given a cunning little ride there. He could just be one, but we want something sexy in that, in that division. We've not got it.
Yeah.
I guess at Leopardstown in February with the spring or whatever it is there, that might be the one that really shines a light on the division.
Yeah, could be. What's he, Torpedo? Is he your Triumph Hurdle winner?
Nothing really to add to what Dave said. It's too early. There's still plenty of horses that could come out of the woodwork, and even at that Kempton meeting in late February, they can still go and win their first time out and be a Triumph horse. It's not really my kind of race. Yeah, he's won impressively, but I wouldn't be looking at it until much further down the line.
Okay, Bidders, just refresh us. What price is he now?
Well, Torpedo is 14-1 unchanged after his stand-down route, Maddie. But he's not far off the top of the betting. Dave mentioned Ajali, that one's 12-1. We have Kel Destin in there and Sir Erica's 10-1 joint favourite, and then Tiger Tap 12-1. But I guess we'll see something at Leopardstown or that meeting at Kempton in February is usually very informative.
Yep. The Lawless of Naas Novice Hurdle was very informative yesterday. Battle over Doyen, I believe he's now second favourite for the Ballymore Binners.
Well, actually, he's joint favourite now, Maddie. He's not with us. 5-1 joint favourite along with Cham. He was 12-1 before his victory yesterday. He's still unbeaten. I would be a bit wary about taking some of that 5-1. No, Jack Kennedy thinks he'd probably prefer easier ground, and they're going to see what happens with the ground before Cheltenham, and then the O'Learys will make the decision. But I would be a little bit worried over the state of the turf.
Notes of caution there from Binners, Dave, but Battle over Doyen, he's looked a bit of a machine so far, hasn't he?
He has. We mentioned that on this show in December when he won his maiden. He absolutely destroyed them. That came just quickly after he romped home in a bumper as well. Is he a Sam Crow? He's certainly the same sort of size. Good to see Doyen, his sire, have a Grade 1 winner over jumps as well. So,
yeah, he's been doing well for a while, hasn't he?
That's an interesting line. I backed him yesterday, but you have to say with the two Mullins horses not firing, the form is questionable. The second was beaten in a Grade 3 over 3 miles. Looks like he might be an Albert Bartlett, that Sam's profile. Get a Reason was in third. He's your benchmark. He's just slightly, a Grade 3 horse, I think we could probably say that, with all respect to him. Will they go 3 miles with this horse? I'm not sure. And he just looks like next year's horse for me. I backed him yesterday, but I wasn't overwhelmed with his credentials.
Not getting too carried away. Are you getting carried away?
No, not at all. I think Dave summed it up perfectly. I think, he's a future chaser, and I think that's when he'll come into his own. Come To Me and Tornado Flyer for various reasons didn't run their races. Tornado Flyer pulled up. Come To Me was coughing post-race apparently, so didn't run his race. They're the ones you wanted to see come to the fore, and if he goes and beats them, fair and square, then you hold your hands up. It was a good performance, but it kind of fell apart a little bit. He was workmanlike, and I'm sure he'll be a good horse in the future. I'm sure he'll be even better over fences. But I mean, if you're looking for a horse in that division that's impressed recently, it's the horse I mentioned before. It's Jarvis Plate. He thrashed some good horses at Cheltenham on New Year's Day by about 13 lengths, and he's still 20-1. Him or Battle Over Doyen, I'd have Jarvis Plate every time.
He's a bit like Elixir, who beat him. I think just because he's shown his hand already, he's not from these sexy stables. At the moment, Henderson and Mullins, okay, Angel's Breath is out there, in the Supreme, and Henderson's got a lot of guns to fire. But at the moment, they're as solid as anything, I think, and they are overpriced. If you're looking for a portfolio at the moment, you could do a lot worse with putting them in there at those prices. Yeah,
as you mentioned, I think it's very much a trainer thing, isn't it? But Fergal O'Brien, I think he's long had belief in Jarvis Plate, so he's definitely on the radar for the Ballymore. And we'll go back to Sandown and Lorena beating Sensulano. Not much of a race, really, but we learned that she's still alive and kicking. She's well. What chance in the Champion Hurdle, Dave?
A massive chance. I am a huge Abu Vidair fan. If anyone doesn't know that, I backed him in the Supreme when he was third, and I wasn't happy with the ride. So I've always had beef with this horse. He went over fence, and I thought he could just be absolutely mustard. So, but I think that she is without doubt the one that could beat him with that mare's allowance. She is a monster. This horse. They were delighted afterwards. I think RPR of 160. For a romp there. I know that form-wise it didn't tell us a great deal, apart from that she's alive and well, and I forgot how big she was. She's huge. Yeah. And she jumps really well for a big mare. She'll go around there, she'll be up there. I think 4-1 is probably about right now, isn't it? All those clever clogs that got the 12-1 early on, hoping that it would go her way. The division's fallen apart. The race could cut up slightly as well at the moment.
Yeah, it could still cut up. Yeah, I've caused a bit of a debate so far on Twitter today, saying, well, ground. They were at pains to run her on good ground earlier on in the season. If it does, we don't know what the ground will be like at Cheltenham, but if it is really good ground, is that cause for concern? Why, if he's happy to run in March, why wasn't he happy to run her on good ground in December? It
is a bizarre one, isn't it? Was she quite right? Not. She is now, basically, and she's come to the party. I thought at the weekend... She could well love
it if she ran on good ground.
Absolutely. Look, she's been to Cheltenham before. Who's to say it's going to be good ground at Cheltenham in March anymore? Things have changed dramatically. Yeah. The Supreme was on heavy. Give us a chance.
Yeah, exactly. What's it, Lorena?
I'd have to give the opposite view, to be honest. I thought Saturday's race was irrelevant. I thought it proved nothing. I'm surprised that they used it as a lead into the... afterwards they were talking about going straight to the Champion Hurdle. I was surprised to hear that, because she would have done more work at home probably than she did at Sandown at the weekend. I think if you go to this meeting in early January, you know pretty much that you're not going to face much competition, because all the good horses have been running over Christmas. So it's always likely to cut up badly. I wish they'd kept Benny de Dieu in it, so we would have got at least kind of some...
That was never going to happen though, was it?
Yeah, it's wishful. It's wishful thinking maybe, but as it was, we got a match which was 5 minutes or whatever it took of nothingness really. I think she's an awful price for the Champion Hurdle. I think the horses that she's been beating, she's been doing it well, but
that £7 allowance though, Watsy, it is humongous. And
she's been doing over 2.5 miles on soft ground.
Power, then there's only going to be one result here. I'm telling you.
A lot of people saying her hurdling isn't quite up to scratch as
well.
The
conditions she'll face in the Champion Hurdle will be completely alien to what she's been running over, and particularly in Saturday's race. It's a sharp track that the Champion Hurdle is run on. She's mostly run over longer trips in Ireland and obviously on Saturday as well. It'll be a culture shock for her. I'm amazed they're not talking about going for another race beforehand to give her a bit of match practice.
Maybe they will, yeah.
And, you look back a year, Hendo said that Bouverdare almost lost the Champion Hurdle because he went into it a bit undercooked, and that was because he'd prepped in the Contenders Hurdle, which is always a non-event, and he wins it easily. So if Hendo's saying that about Bouverdare, then if that was a non-event, the Contenders Hurdle last year, then Saturday's race was an absolute nothingness, and I think she's an awful price for the Champion Hurdle.
Paul Keeley agrees with you, Dave.
Well, I think that Bouver lost it nearly last year because he chased that hard pace. they will hold him up a lot longer. And, let's not forget he was beaten at Kempton over Christmas. I think the reason why he got beaten there was not just that error 3 out or whatever it was. He needs a lead until the last, this horse. And in most of his races, he's been getting it. In the Champion Hurdle last year, I think to pull that out, having gone that pace, that's when I knew he was an extremely special horse.
But purely on price terms, Lorena is a horrible price, surely.
Well, she's got...
Vidana Blue's achieved more than she has.
We don't know how good she is.
Sharjah's achieved more than she has. And
Sharjah is an interesting player, for a place. Patrick Mullins, he got off him last time and said that this horse will win loads more, at the top table. He'll have his ground. It's whether he quite gets up the hill, I'm not 100% sure, but he'll be ridden cold. The tactics of the race are going to be fantastic. She will be up there. She'll try and do a 14. And she's got the best man on it to do it.
Don't underestimate the genius of Willie Mullins and Ruby Walsh. Spinners, Lorena, what price can we get about her now?
Well, we were 4-1 unchanged after the race, Maddie. Some bookmakers were criticised on Saturday for cutting Lorena. We have now cut her into 7-2 second favourite behind Bouverdare and 6-5. But I do think the race will cut up.
Yeah.
As you've already said, Apple's Jade. I'm not sure about Melon, but it was very disappointing. It was only 2 runners on Saturday, wasn't it? She's clearly sparkly. I think she has got a serious chance. Why would Willie Mullins run her in the Champion Hurdle rather than go for the Mare's Hurdle? So she must have a serious chance, and the market indicates that.
Yeah, it does. I'm with you, Watsy. I think to cut any horse off the back of that, you didn't learn anything whatsoever, did you? So.
Well, she might not even run as well. That's the other point that we made earlier. If it is a traditional or a more traditional Cheltenham and good to soft ground or whatever, she's been pulled out of every race this season on similar going. So
that's my point. It's that if you're willing to, if you're saying we can't run her on soft ground on good ground in December, why are you then okay to risk a horse on good ground in March?
I'm not having it sold. I'm sitting on completely at the other side. If he hadn't have got a run into her, that's the only reason she'd have gone mares. She might have done a Corvega then, and she'd have won that as easy as she likes. Apple's Jade should go for the Stayers Hurdle. That's what I think. And this is a proper Champion Hurdle mare. You're going to have to eat some humble pie, my friend.
I'll be happy to. First show after Cheltenham, if she does do it, I'd be happy to salute you, bow down to you, whatever, because I just can't see it.
I guess if you're not on Bouverdale already, then this is pleasing you, isn't it? Because he's been beaten. He's going to be a price on the day, and let's face it, she does still have to step up quite a bit to beat him.
Anyway, let's move on. We could talk about Lorena in the Champion Hurdle all day, but it's great to see her. It would be great to see her if she gets there. Adds a new level of intrigue to the race. We have a new JLT favourite in Master Dino, who won at Plumpton yesterday. What's the interesting profile, champion 4-year-old in France, and he won really nicely. Yeah,
he did, and beat a good yardstick as well. I was at Newbury at the Hennessy meeting, Ladbrokes Trophy meeting, when Knocknanus won, and he was really very impressive that day. Went from the front, jumped very, very well indeed. So I thought he might be tough to beat around Plumpton, but Master Dino coped with him early on. His jumping held up really nicely, and he came through late and took him and won really, really well. And it's great to see Guillaume Macaire keep one of his own and have him to come over. We used days gone by, Gère de Cochet and other horses. We're more used to the French selling their horses on there and ending up in Ireland, but it's great that Guillaume's got one of his own to bring over here. And I thought there was a lot to like about the performance.
Yeah, Dave, he was sort of pricking his ears up the run-in. He sort of had loads left to give, didn't he? And you're quite confident.
This wins. This absolutely wins. I think 6-1 is still a belting price. He could easily go off 5-2, 9-4, I think, on the day. There's a clever move, isn't it, by the owners, Isaac Swade and Simon Munir, to come over. We know these owners, of course. These aren't just some random French owners that are looking at our racing and thinking, well, we can win it. These guys have seen there's no Henderson hot pot, there's no Mullins hot pot at this point. Let's go over and do it. He won 650,000 prior to Sunday. And the way that he came up that hill at Plumpton, despite looking somewhat uncomfortable when not news kicked, this wins. If he gets through the silly R's as I expect him to, we are going to say Vive la France on the first race on Thursday.
Okay, Binners, market reaction to Master Dino's success?
Well, Maddie, we went 7 from 16 immediately after the race, and punters agree with Dave Alton. He's now 5-1 favourite. Not News was very popular in the market before the race, very well fancied, and Master Dino blew him out of the water, and it was, as I agree, it was very, very impressive. And you know what, it's great to see Guillaume Macaire back in England. He's had a period away. Lovely to see him at something yesterday. He's a bit of a character, and this looks a real animal.
Yeah, and they'll get that bonus now as well. Great initiative that Plumpton have put on. So really enterprising tactics for them to bring Mastodino over. That'll do for our weekend review. We're going to have a look at some of the weekend's action just after this.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and a grand up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back to this Monday Postcast then. We've just been looking through Saturday's races, some really cracking cards at Warwick and Kempton. We'll start off with the Hampton Novices Chaser listed race, won last year by Miss Parfois. Dave and Ibis OK Corral, a really interesting horse in there as well. Some others that have been banging form.
OK Corral's another bonus chaser, isn't he, of course, having won at Plumpton. They know what they're doing, don't they, these connections? He's interesting. He's a bit older maybe than your average cookie, but that's a sign of this season. A lot of horses that are slightly older. A Champ, for example. Would be
Knock Nanus is 9,
Knock Nanus, yeah. A Champ will be bidding to become, the first winner since the 90s, is it? Was it French Ollie, in fact, wasn't it? It was a 7-year-old at the one at the Ballymore. So we're seeing some older horses. Le Bagarrois, she's older than your average sort of championship winner. Not exactly sure why that is. It's a relatively interesting race. I think OK Corral probably just about hit the market, will he?
Yeah. I know he's been very fragile throughout his career. Watson made sort of one mistake on his debut at Plumpton, but he's got that really nice profile coming into this.
Yeah, he has. It's a good race, this, and Warwick Novice Chasers are always interesting. It's a really good test of jumping because there's a lot. They come thick and fast, particularly down the back, and if you meet one wrong, then it's easy to be wrong for the next ones down the line. So. As far as like Cheltenham preparations go, if you want to get a horse to go there in March, then going to Warwick in January is a really good idea, because if you can pass that test, then you're gonna be all right normally.
Once I totally agree with you.
Plenty of horses have proved that though. Like say Miss Parfois ran really well in the 4 miler last year.
Yeah.
We'll mention some other horses that have won at this meeting, gone on to win at Cheltenham in the past. So.
Yeah, so I think OK Corral is an interesting one, as is Ibis de Roo. If they stand their ground, Le Braille is another interesting one as well. Has been running very well over
Rocky's Treasure, you mentioned earlier.
Rocky's Treasure, that's the Santini form.
He should have his ground as well, and because it looks like it's a relatively dry forecast. It's good soft at Warwick at the moment. So,
and I'd say this could give us a good marker for the 4 miler, because I think some of these horses are probably just below RSA standard. So I think whatever wins it, they might be heading for the longer distance at Cheltenham.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, White Moon as well is in there, who ran over an inadequate 2 miles last night. I'd be amazed if they don't step him up for the 4 miler. I think he looks like that sort of horse.
Okay, we'll move on to the 205 at Kempton. It's a 32 red chase, a listed chase. Some cracking entries in this one. Are we going to see Waiting Patiently?
Really hope so. We were saying, off air that why are these horses all sort of turning up now? It's because of this backlog, surely. We've had this dry run-up and all the trainers moaning about it. Well, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? I mean, we've got a Black Corton in there, Mr. Whittaker's in there.
I love that horse.
Mr. Medic, who ran really well last time at Cheltenham, didn't quite see the best of him there. Top Notch, who ran a belter, didn't he?
Yeah.
Over hurdles next time.
If
Waiting Patiently turns up, he'll head the market. And let's hope he does. Let's hope he starts running a little bit more.
Ascot Chase for Waiting Patiently, Watsy, or would you go to Kempton? Won there before, of course.
Love to see him go to Kempton. Like to see these good horses running, and be a good test for him with the likes of Top Notch in there, who's a bit of a 2.5 mile specialist. He's brilliant at that trip, and as Dave said, ran really well over hurdles on his comeback. So, you've got to feel sorry for Connections. You lived up to his name, and they did wait patiently for the King George, and then that happens.
Gutting, wasn't it?
It was such a shame. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he didn't get that far. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back fresh and well. That they were eager to get running.
He was tanking, wasn't he? He was just biding.
It's too early out to tell,
as we knew he would, but
it?
you could tell he was on really good terms with himself. He was pinging it.
Yeah, for sure. Also, at Warwick, the Ballymore Leamington Novices Hurdle, won by Willoughby Court before he went to win at the Cheltenham Festival, so that proves your point, albeit over hurdles. And again, some strong entries. Birchdale, a JP McManus, Nicky Henderson horse, they think a lot of him.
Yes.
Won at the track before. Rock Point, Albert Bartlett fancy for a lot of people. Cheltenham winner last time. And Tidal Flow, another one in a lot of people's notebooks, who's shown a really good attitude.
Quite like Tidal Flow, but Birchdale, for me, I know they think the absolute world of him. The second came out and hosed up at Wetherby in the week. I know there's a couple of, sort of mixed messages about that form, but I wrote it down as a very good race for the track. I think it will be. If he turns up Birchdale, he'll take a lot.
Could a similar thing happen to what happened with Rathhill? What explain that? He had a big reputation.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I think he's going back to the same course and distance which he's won over. This looks a little bit more lower east-sidist, doesn't it? I suppose this would suggest that they think he's an Albert Bartlett horse. Mr. Whips won it last year. Did he go Albert Bartlett or was it Ballymore? I can't forget now. He didn't fire, did he, at the festival? I know that. So this usually goes to an Albert Bartlett horse, which suggests that, I mean, he's got some gears, his Birchdale, that's for sure.
Okay, what's his strong thoughts on this one?
I quite like Tidal Flow. I like the way he won at Newbury last time out. They think an awful lot of the second horse, Downtown Getaway, they bought for big money from Ireland. And in fairness, he made a horrific blunder 3 out, which probably cooked him. But, you know, it's still a good display from Tidal Flow. He's another one we talked about earlier. He keeps it simple. He goes from the front, runs hard, and, you know, he always runs his race. So I think Tidal Flow is, he'd be the one for me.
It would be nice to see Hobbs back with the championship novice, wouldn't it, I think? It's been a little while since he's had a proper Manora type.
Yeah.
That'd be good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see. Like, he's had a great season, hasn't he? Definitely Desoy horses like that been bouncing back.
Arkle bound.
Yeah, a lot of his horses well handicapped now after a dreadful couple of seasons, so it's great to see. Binners, we'll go over to you. The Lanzarote Hurdle, always a big betting race and a great historic race to watch as well.
Yes, indeed, Maddie. I think I may well be at Kempton on Saturday. Very much looking forward to this. I only had a brief chance to have a look at the entries. I'm always very keen on Gary Moore's representatives in these sort of places. And one that does take me on is Cloudgate, owned by Roger Sargent and a couple of others. Won his last 2 starts at Leicester and Doncaster. 7-length winner at Doncaster, winner last time easily. And at this early stage, he would be the one for me.
Dave Orton, absolutely furious there.
Yes, Binners, how dare you? I've been waiting all session for this. Yeah, Cloudgate, he was ridiculously well handicapped when he turned up over hurdles on his platform. He's just been waiting for a step up in trip. This is a further step up in trip. Track and ground look perfect for him. He's up to an official mark now of 127, but if you look back at Newbury form on the flat at Iron Stratum, he's got a lot to come to him. There is another horse in here that I think is worthy of some attention. Eric LaRouge, who won on the Boxing Day card.
Yeah, progressive young horse.
Yeah, they've got a couple, James and Nick Williams, haven't they, in these colours?
Won this before, haven't they? 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's right. So, and he won despite the ground last time, I think, as well, unexposed. So they'd be my 2 against Field.
Okay, I know you disagree with Nick's selection, so let's hear your reasoning.
I think I've got the winner of it. I think both of them are barking up the wrong tree on this one. I think Darling Malte has got an absolutely fantastic chance. I can see why they don't like it, because it's obviously on occasions it's flatter to deceive.
It's got an understatement.
It's got this running style where it likes to be settled right at the back, and so obviously needs a bit of luck in running because it has to come through horses, has to be delivered late. But be interested if Lorcan Williams rides it, because he just seems to have really clicked with his horse lately. I noticed it them at Wincanton a couple of starts ago when they were a bit unlucky. But ran well, and then I watched them again at Ascot last time out, and they just cruised through the field. They won easily. This time there was an end product to the way he travelled. He didn't just do 3/4 of the race, travel really well, and then fall in a heap. There was an end product. He did win the race nicely, and now he's got back in the winning habit. And if Lorcan Williams rides him, my confidence would increase. But it's already quite high anyway. I think he's got an absolute cracking chance, and I think he's a really classy horse.
That's pretty confident from you. I'm liking that. Have you got
Dave's still huffing and puffing.
Pie in the sky. I think he's terribly handicapped. I've got to say, he's gone up £12, what's he? And the reason why Lorcan Williams will be riding him is because they need to get the weight off his back. And will he do it second time? That's the question.
I think he will.
Hope so. Anyway, have you got a strong fancy for the Classic Chase? Grand National winner in waiting, perhaps? One for Arthur.
Yeah, no, I've got a semi-strong fancy, and I'd hesitate to say I've got an in, but we do in the paper do a column with Alex Hales every week, and he runs Duel at Dawn. Now he's got some good track form because he ran in that listed novice chase we were talking about earlier. He ran in that last season and finished second behind Mrs. Parfile, which is really good form as we discussed. He's got another piece of really good form from last season when he was second to Sizing Tennessee at Cheltenham, obviously the Ladbrokes Trophy winner.
Yeah, big fan of this horse.
Yeah, and then he came back at Haydock last month, needed the run. I think he finished 7th, but he showed up well for a long way, weakened out of it, but just in front of him was Hubel de Zobo, who of course came out and won at the weekend. So it's all stacking up quite nicely for him. Hales has had a slightly disappointing campaign with some of his horses, but he was in the winners on New Year's Day at Fakenham. So there's a bit of yard form to go with it. He's got good course form. Hales thinks he's an out-and-out stayer. Now, if he's to turn up in races like the Grand National at Aintree, he's right on the cusp in terms of his mark. I think he might be late 130s at the moment.
Yeah.
To get into a
137,
national,
yeah.
you have to be 145 to be on the safe side, I think, or more. So it goes without saying that they're going to want to win a pot like this to get him into the race. So lots of positives there, I think. So I think he could run very nicely.
Yeah, Jewel at Dawn, really likeable horse.
Yeah, I agree.
Who are you
I
fancying?
agree. I absolutely agree. I think that sort of second season's chaser and that Miss Pathway form is obviously there to see, isn't it? Calip Mad has got one of these in him, I think. He's still sort of learning his trade. Nigel Twiston-Davis.
Bit of a muddling one, isn't he? Mixed chasing and hurdling. And
you always think he's going to come good. I think it was better last time, and this track could really suit him. Ballydyne for Charlie Longston ran a cracker last time. He could go well. It's one of those races, your sort of races.
I do like these races, yeah. But the one you mentioned,
said, Dave loves slow horses.
Nick does love slow horses.
I do. The Charlie Longston one you mentioned, I would agree with that. If I was looking around for David
ran really well last
Ballydyne,
time.
and he looks he is an out and out stayer. So
Interesting.
Yeah, Binners, anything to add?
Yeah, I've got Gunfire Reef. Interesting contender for Mag Mullins, Maddie. I don't know how often she brings horses over to England. I've only just seen it. It's not really investigated. But this horse has been running tremendously consistent in Ireland. Won at Punchestown in November. Ran a good race at Turley's in last month, but second to Loch Luafra when going off favourite. And if Mag brings Gunfire Reef over, then she probably thinks she's got some serious ammunition.
Okie dokie. Any other fancies for the rest of the weekend? Anything on Saturday or Sunday, Dave?
Not really. It's just all about Cloudgate in the Lanzarote now, I think, for me.
What have you spied? Anything or nothing, Watsy?
No, I think we've discussed all the big things, haven't we? So yeah, I'm well stocked, I think, for weekend ammo.
Yeah, I think that we are going to see Cheltenham Festival winners emerging now, definitely. If we haven't already last weekend, it's back with a bang now.
Yeah. Okay, and on that note, we'll take a quick break.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back to the final instalment of this Monday Postcast. Racing midweek looks some really good contests. Tuesday, Airbanger, Newcastle. Wednesday, Lingfield, Doncaster, Taunton, Kempton. Thursday, Clonmel, Catterick, Leicester, Southall, Chelmsford. Friday, Huntingdon, a very interesting card there. Lingfield, Sedgefield and Wolverhampton. Dave, we'll go over to you first. You've sort of spied one.
The Chatteris Fen on Friday at Huntingdon is a well-known juvenile race. And again, we've been talking about that's a scene that needs to light up, isn't it? He being Henderson and Isaac Suede and Simon Munir have got one in there who's come from a Guillaume McCare, so it's topical with Master Dino. Fusil Raffles, who does look very interesting. He's had 2 runs. Henderson won this a couple of years ago with Divin Bear, who went on to run very close in the Fred Winter, I seem to remember. Whether that will be the plan with one more run, I'm not sure. But he's interesting, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there was no collusion in this, but he was the one that I was looking at, the midweek racing, and your eye was drawn to him because of the connections, because of where he's come from, and because of the history of this race, that it does normally throw up a decent horse for Cheltenham or Aintree. So if he runs, I think Fret D'Estruval is in the same ownership. I imagine they'll go with one of the two. If they go with Fusil Raffles, I'll be very interested to see where. Probably won't be a price, but he's one to note for the future.
I know, Ben, as you're keen on Fret D'Estruval, I'm not overly enthused by his chances, but you're going to prove me wrong.
Well, yes, Maddie. I'm really delighted you're mentioning Bruce Ben Huntingdon, my local track. I'll be there. Hopefully, I'm bigging it up so much they'll give me some hospitality now. But the Mooniers have 2 horses in the race at the moment. I'm hoping Alan King does run Fret D'Estruval. I know he was disappointing on his English debut at Cheltenham last month, but I just think a flatter track like Huntingdon just might suit him and work the Oracle. And if it does, if he was in the first 2 or 3, hopefully winning for the gazillions of listeners, he just could be a whole terrain for him.
Okay, and any other fancies for the midweek racing?
Myself, Maddie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one in the again at Huntingdon, my lovely local horse. The 3 o'clock, there's a novices limited handicap chase. It's a horse called Stamp Your Feet. It's Barry Garrett's only book ride for this week currently. He's been a bit disappointing over hurdles recently, but this is his chasing debut. He was rated a few times higher than this mark, 129 over timber. And I just think he might be a horse that improves over a fence.
Okay, and before we leave everyone, let's get the midweek naps.
This will not be beaten.
Dave Orton.
Birchdale in the Leamington Spa.
What's he?
Yeah, this isn't really a midweek nap, but Darling Malte, can I have that in the Lanzarote on Saturday?
We'll see if you get told off after that, Binners.
I'm going to stick with Alan King, one of the greatest trainers in the land. It's threat desperate. You guys can't be having it, but I'm keeping the faith. Don't give up on a horse after just one run in England.
Okay, there we are then. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure you rate, review and subscribe. Make sure you tune in to our Thursday football postcast, where a few of us will be looking at the weekend's Premier League games. And we'll be back here on Friday when Bruce is in the chair for a detailed look at the ITV race cards from Kempton and Warwick. We'll see you next time.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and a grand up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.